China!
Nazi China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China! Independence for Taiwan!
Independence for Taiwan!
Independence for Taiwan!
Independence for Tibet!
Independence for Tibet!
Independence for Tibet!
Independence for Tibet! Independence for Tibet!
Independence for Tibet!
Independence for Tibet!
Independence for Hong Kong!
Independence for Hong Kong!
Independence for Hong Kong!
Independence for Hong Kong!
Talking about the CCP, I don't have no problem with the Chinese, but I hate Chinese Communist Party, especially the Xi Jinping, which is 21st century, that we're creating Frankenstein style of a monster, which we let them just do whatever he wants. We cannot tolerate it. We cannot tolerate it. It is a good time that Donald Trump, which is my president, he will kick the Xi Jinping's butt all the way.
The CCP is eradicating our culture, religion, identity, and our very own existence. Today, hundreds and thousands of Uyghurs and other Turkic people are being used as slaves by CCP. That is why U.S. Senate must pass the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act with urgency. We urge Americans and all people of world to boycott Made in China. We urge U.S. Congress, the U.S. government, and all the entities worldwide to acknowledge the East Turkestan is an independent country occupied by China. We call the world to recognize the Uyghurs as who they are, a unique, separate nation, not by what the China CCP claims who we are.
China and its CCP pose not only a threat to those under its tyranny, but to the entire world. We saw this with its deliberate spread of the coronavirus, or the CCP virus, which has killed over 1.57 million people across the world, including over 290,000 Americans. Since its founding in 1921, the CCP has killed over 70 million people, and they are still continuing to kill people as we speak.
Scott Perry's bill talks not just transnational, but transcontinental, because this is a transcontinental evil that is going on. So we want to support the Transnational Criminal Organization designation for the Chinese Communist Party. Nobody has ever deserved it more. It makes me think, though, if there had been a brave congressman like Scott Perry during the time of the Nazis, who had decided to designate the Nazis as a transcontinental criminal organization, we probably would not have had the Holocaust that we had then.
And all I can say is, God forbid that we empower to run this country going forward people who think the rise of China is to be aspired for and to be accomplished with our help. And there's some people in this town who actually think they're going to be able to do that. So if we have the Trump administration designate the Chinese Communist Party as a transnational criminal organization now, I don't believe that Joe Biden, if he becomes president of the United States, or all of his subordinates who are either in bed with China, quite literally, or are anxious to help them rise so that we too can submit to their dictates. I believe that designation will be impossible for Joe Biden and company to undo. Because, and I'll close with this, imagine this. The President of the United States, the Attorney General of the United States, the Secretary of State, somebody in this administration says it is a transnational criminal organization. And let's just hallucinate here. A President Biden comes to office and decides one of the things that he's going to do with all of his baggage, with Hunter Biden's corruption, with what appears to be his own corruption at the hands of the Chinese Communist Party, and with all of the folks who are actually working for or with the Chinese Communist Party. Joe Biden decides he's going to say, no, just kidding. They're not actually a transnational criminal organization, when all of the evidence makes it clear they are. I don't think so.
So Stop the Steal is here at a very pressing time where we are stretched thin because China is the #1 threat. They want the next century, they want the next millennia to belong to China. In China's world, there will be no rights. There will be no fair elections. There will be no transparent counting. China was active in this election. My friend Sidney Powell is going to prove it. They're active in other elections, Mongolia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and it needs to stop. So we have to stop the steal of our organs, the organs of the Uyghurs, stop the steal of the rights. We have to start speaking truth again.
During the Cold War, there was the free world versus the totalitarian socialist world. Today, it's a little more complex. There are those of us who are willing to live a life in solidarity with the vulnerable, and those of us who are willing to profit off of their exploitation. The French anthropologist René Girard said, when you stand with the vulnerable, you become indistinguishable to the person you're standing with, to those doing violence from them, to them. And I want to say it goes the other way. When you persecute the vulnerable, when you exploit the vulnerable, when you take advantage of the vulnerable, Nike, Costco, Apple, I see the CCP. I see the CCP. So, when I look at you, I see the CCP. I pray by the grace of God, when the CCP looks at me, they see the Uyghur. God bless you. Thank you.
We can have no human rights or freedom while the murdered CCP criminals can get away with attacks on the whole of humanity. We call on the U.S. Congress and the U.S. government and the entire world to take stronger actions to hold China and its CCP accountable. Thank you so much.
Let's wake up. Let's all hold our hands together as Americans. Doesn't matter if you're Republicans, Democrats, Muslims, Jews, Christians, Hindus, it does not matter. We are all one together under this flag that we call the proud flag of the United States of America.
Everybody should step forward to call what CCP what it is. It's a transnational criminal organization. And the whole world need to speak out to designate CCP as transnational criminal organization, not just the United States. And right now we see the sign, Stop the Steal. This is CCP's dark force behind these forces that try to sabotage United States election systems. We see the connection between the Dominion system with Chinese government. We see the connection between Biden's family with Chinese government. Right? We see the typical Chinese propaganda machines textbook tactics. That's why YouTube censor all this information. They know how to censor by following CCP's textbook, right? Censor all the voice that criticize the election fraud.
So if the Senate and the House fail to get this genocide resolution passed as soon as possible, then it is up to the U.S. government, and especially President Trump, to show moral leadership by signing an executive order to recognize China's atrocities against Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples in occupied East Turkestan as a genocide.
Independence for America!
Independence for America!
Independence for America!
Recognize the genocide!
Recognize the genocide!
Recognize the genocide!
Recognize the genocide!
Stop the steal! Stop the steal!
Stop the steal!
Stop the steal!
Stop the steal!
So definitely we urge the Congress and also President Trump to designate the CCP as a transnational criminal organization. And Congressman Scott Perry's bill 8491 deserve everyone's support. Some people think maybe this is too big a concept. People even fight for human rights for a long time think, this is a big concept. But I think the biggest mistake is they cannot distinguish what is Chinese people versus the Chinese Communist Party. The party is a criminal organization. They've been put Chinese people into slave conditions for a long time. And if the Congress or the President Trump can make this designation, it will make the whole world clear what kind of enemy we are facing together.